The Galactic Council Hall fell into a tense, almost oppressive silence. The vast chamber, once filled with the hum of various alien tongues, was now quiet. Hundreds of representatives from species of every conceivable shape and form sat in a perfect semicircle, their faces lit by the soft glow of the central hologram. It flickered ominously as the image expanded, showing a planet, Ara Prime, consumed by flames. This was Ara Prime. 3 days ago, High Minister Vax intoned, his voice laden with sorrow. His forehands rose in helpless despair, his eyes reflecting the gravity of the destruction. 15 million dead. Another world lost to the Corvin. A murmur rippled through the council chambers as the image zoomed in, showing the desolation of an entire planet. Its cities burning, its atmosphere shattered. Fear hung in the air like a tangible cloud, thick and suffocating. 12 planets destroyed in 2 months, Vax continued, his voice rising, now tinged with panic. Billions of lives snuffed out, our best warships torn apart like toys. The hologram shifted again, this time showing the Corvin warships, sleek, black vessels that seemed to absorb the light around them. They moved with terrifying speed, their weapons cutting through planetary defenses as if they weren't even there. We sent 200 ships to protect Ara Prime, Admiral Zorax of the Trell Defense Force said, his voice quiet, almost a whisper of shame. His scaled face was drawn, his usual confidence shattered. 200 of our finest. Only 6 returned. At the back of the hall, Commander Sarah Chen of Earth stood silently, observing the scene with a calm intensity. Earth had only joined the Galactic Council 8 months ago, the newest and least advanced member. Other species still saw humanity as little more than primitives, barely out of their solar system. She wore the simple blue uniform of the human diplomatic corps, a stark contrast to the opulent, exotic attire of the other species present. Minister Vax's voice cracked with despair. The Corvin will not talk. We have tried. We have offered them everything. Resources, territory, even surrender. They respond only with destruction. They seem to enjoy our fear. A wave of panic swept through the chamber as representatives began shouting, offering one wild solution after another. We must combine all our fleets. No, hide our remaining ships. Perhaps if we give them more worlds, we can buy more time. Chen's hand rose slowly, silencing the growing chaos. Her words, simple yet full of conviction, cut through the noise. Earth will respond, she said firmly. All eyes turned to her. The room fell silent again. What can Earth possibly do? Asked the ambassador from Teller, his long tentacles waving dismissively. Your ships are slow. Your weapons are basic. You've been in space for barely a century. We'll send one ship, Chen replied, unshaken. Laughter erupted across the chamber. The idea was so absurd that it bordered on offensive. One ship, Admiral Zorax bellowed. I sent 200 ships and the Corvin destroyed them in minutes. Chen's face remained calm, a resolute smile playing at the corner of her lips. We need the coordinates of the next likely Corvin target. This is not the time for jokes, human, Minister Vax snapped. Earth is not joking, Chen said, her voice unwavering. We know something about fighting that the rest of you have forgotten. The council members fell into stunned silence as she turned, preparing to leave. And what is that? Sneered the Teller ambassador. When a bully threatens everyone, she replied, eventually someone has to stand up to them. Humans have been doing this for thousands of years. And we've never ever let bullies win. Chen walked out of the chamber, the murmurs of disbelief echoing behind her. Your one ship will be destroyed, Admiral Zorax called out, his voice dripping with cynicism. Chen paused at the door, but did not turn around. Maybe, she said softly, but the Corvin will know they've been in a fight. As she walked, her communicator beeped urgently. A message from Earth Command. Authorization granted. Operation Nimis is go. The UEE's Nemesis was unlike any warship in the galaxy. Where other alien vessels were sleek and elegant, the Nemesis was a monster of angular, jagged metal, designed for one purpose: survival. It hung in Earth's orbit like a predator, its hull a patchwork of heavy armor designed to withstand the fury of space battles. Captain Marcus Reeves stood on the bridge, his gaze fixed on the view ahead. His face, weathered by age and battle, reflected in the viewport. At 52, he had fought in Earth's last war. He knew well what it meant to face an enemy that seemed unstoppable. "Final systems check complete, Captain," reported Commander Diana Wong, his second-in-command, her voice steady. "Good," Reeves said, his tone calm. "The Council thinks we're on a suicide mission. Let them think that." Wong smiled slightly. "They don't know human history." The ship's AI, Athena, appeared as a blue hologram beside them, her voice clear and cold. "Based on Corvin attack patterns, I predict their next target will be the Aeolian colony in the Proin system." "Then that's where we'll meet them," Reeves said, turning to face his crew. "All veterans, all volunteers. This mission isn't about saving ourselves. It's about showing the galaxy how to fight back." Below decks, Chief Engineer Okono ran his hands over the Nemesis's special drive system. It was no standard engine. No, this was something new, something born from the ruins of Mars, ancient, powerful technology that humans had unearthed. "She'll hold together," he muttered to the humming machine. "Just long enough." In the training room, Marine Commander Jackson pushed his Special Forces team to their limits. The soldiers wore powered armor suits that made them faster, stronger, and more deadly. Their helmets linked directly to their brains, enhancing their reflexes to an almost supernatural level. "The Corvin think they're apex predators," Jackson said, his voice low and fierce. "Today they meet a species that hunted mammoths to extinction with sticks and stones." As the Nemesis lifted off from Earth, the final orders came through from Admiral Kaminsk in mission control. "Captain Reeves, you carry humanity's answer to those who terrorize the weak. For 200 years we've chosen peace, but we haven't forgotten how to fight." Reeves glanced at his crew, their faces set in grim determination. "The galaxy sees us as peaceful because we choose to be. Today we remind them that peace is not the same as weakness." In the Proin system, the Aeolian colony was in full evacuation mode. Sirens blared as the defense systems came online. Governor Lisa spoke to her people through emergency channels. But then a new message came through, a surprise from an unknown ship. "Proinian colony, this is UES Nemesis from Earth. Continue your evacuation. We'll handle the Corvin." Governor Lisa stared at the screen in disbelief. One ship. They had sent one ship? In the darkness of space, 7 Corvin warships emerged from jump points, their dark forms blotting out the stars. They were ready to destroy the world, but they had not expected to find a human warship waiting for them. The battle that would change the galaxy was about to begin. The Corvin warships moved toward the colony in perfect formation, their weapons powered up and ready to unleash destruction. But they had underestimated the humans. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Captain Reeves gave a calm order. "Deploy countermeasures. Let's show them what happens when they ignore a human warning." In an instant, hundreds of drones shot out from the Nemesis, each one carrying powerful technology designed to disrupt the Corvin's shields. An electromagnetic pulse sent 2 of the Corvin ships into chaos, their shields failing in an instant. Before the Corvin could react, the Nemesis fired its main weapons. Unlike the energy beams most species used, humans had developed something far more primal and deadly: hypervelocity kinetic projectiles, giant bullets moving at near light speed. They tore through the Corvin ships with horrifying accuracy. One Corvin vessel exploded immediately. Another spun out of control, venting atmosphere and crew into the void of space. For the first time in their history, the Corvin had suffered casualties. Unbelievable. "Focus all fire on the human vessel," Fleet Commander Vrex commanded, his claws digging into his command chair. The remaining Corvin ships broke formation and targeted the Nemesis, their weapons unleashed in a deadly barrage. But the Nemesis was ready, moving with surprising speed for its size. The crew executed evasive maneuvers flawlessly, avoiding most of the incoming fire. Inside the Corvin flagship, Marine Commander Jackson and his Special Forces team boarded the enemy vessel, determined to gather critical information. The Corvin were a deadly species, their senses far beyond human comprehension, but the Marines were prepared. Using sonic weapons that exploited the Corvin's sensitive hearing, they took down several alien guards without firing a shot. For a long moment, the council chamber was filled with nothing but the hum of distant stars and the crackling static of the comlink. Every member, every species watched in tense anticipation as the Corvin Supreme Commander's voice cut through the silence. "Your species cannot understand the threat," the voice rasped, cold and weary. "The Devourers consume entire stars. They do not seek conflict. They seek escape, not conquest. Fleeing is not a choice. It is the only way to survive." Captain Marcus Reeves' jaw tightened, his gaze steady as he responded. "Fleeing isn't the answer," he said, his voice unwavering. "If we work together, united, perhaps we can find a way to defend ourselves. The Ascension Gate, it isn't just a way out, it's a key. We can study the threat. We can find a way to face it, not run from it." On the massive view screen, the Corvin Supreme Commander's face shifted from cold calculation to something like surprise. This was not the response he had expected. There was no fear, no plea for mercy, just a calm resolve, the kind of response that only the humans had shown since their arrival. For several long minutes, the atmosphere inside the Galactic Council Hall was charged with tension. The battle outside had paused, the once deafening sound of the Corvin warship's engines now reduced to a low hum as the leaders exchanged words. A ceasefire was reluctantly declared, though the weight of the moment was palpable. The decision to hold talks wasn't one made lightly. It was one born out of necessity, and the hope that there was still a chance for a peaceful resolution. Soon after, representatives from Earth, the Corvin, and the Galactic Council convened aboard a neutral vessel situated just beyond the edge of the Ascension Gate. It was a neutral ground, chosen for its detachment from the politics and power struggles that had plagued the galaxy for centuries. Even Vrex, the once dominant commander of the Corvin fleet, now a prisoner, attended the summit. His body still showed signs of the debilitating toxin he'd been exposed to, his movements stiff, his eyes clouded with a mix of anger and grudging respect. "You could have destroyed us," Vrex growled at Captain Reeves, his voice hoarse. His eyes locked onto Reeves with a lingering venom. "Why didn't you?" Reeves didn't flinch. He had heard worse during his years in combat. But this time it was different. "Because extinction is what we're all trying to prevent," he replied calmly. "Every species, not just yours, not just ours. We all have something worth preserving. And it's only together that we stand a chance." The words hung heavy in the air, almost as if the weight of the galaxy itself was bearing down on the fragile peace being forged. Slowly, the conversation shifted as each side began to recognize the truth in those words. Together, they studied the data from the Ascension Gate. The Corvin shared terrifying footage, holographic recordings of the Devours, massive energy beings that dwelled in the void between galaxies. Their forms were incomprehensible, amorphous shapes that pulsed with an unnatural, soul-chilling glow. These creatures had already decimated several star systems on the outer edge of the galaxy, and their insatiable hunger was steadily moving inward toward the heart of the galaxy. "This is why we cleared the path," explained the Corvin's Supreme Commander, his voice low with regret. "We had no choice but to escape, to find refuge beyond the reach of the Devores. But we underestimated your species. We did not expect you to fight back, and we did not expect you to be willing to risk everything for us." The room was silent. The realization hung over them all like a dark cloud. The Corvin were not invincible. They were survivors, like all the rest. And in that moment they had found themselves facing a new kind of threat, one they had never anticipated. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the front of the room, her eyes steady as she addressed the historic gathering. "2 months ago, the Corvin terrorized the galaxy," she said, her voice carrying the weight of history, "until humans sent a single warship. Today, that warship has helped forge an unexpected alliance. The Nemesis, battle-scarred but proud, has become a symbol not only of human bravery, but of a new approach to galactic relations. We have proven that courage is stronger than fear, and cooperation more powerful than terror." The representatives of the Galactic Council sat in stunned silence, absorbing her words. The UEE's Nemesis, though just one ship, had irrevocably changed the course of history. It had become more than just a vessel of war. It had become a beacon of hope, a tangible representation of what was possible when seemingly disparate species came together to face the unknown. As Captain Reeves and his crew were celebrated, their names etched into the annals of galactic history, the reality of their victory settled in. They had turned a campaign of terror into the foundation for something stronger, a new era of interstellar cooperation. But as the celebrations died down and the Council began its work, long-range sensors aboard the neutral vessel detected something that sent a ripple of unease through the room. Something different, unusual. A pulse of energy, faint but unmistakable, emanated from the farthest reaches of space. It was a faint signature, but it was growing stronger. Within moments, the sensors had pinpointed the source, the first confirmed sighting of the Devores. The entire council chamber fell silent again. Fear, cold and insidious, crept into the hearts of all present. The Corvin Supreme Commander's voice broke the silence, now tinged with something darker. "They are coming," he whispered, his face pale. "The Devores, they will not stop. Not until everything is consumed." Reeves stood at the center of the room, his expression grim. He had faced terror before, but this was something else entirely. "We will face them," he said, his voice firm, though the weight of the unknown was heavy on his shoulders. "We will face them together." And so the galaxy entered a new chapter. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, not as conquerors, nor as victims, but as equals. They were not here to subjugate or be subjugated. They were here to stand united in the face of something far greater than themselves. A new alliance was born from the ashes of terror, one that would challenge everything the galaxy had known. As the representatives of Earth, the Corvin, and the Galactic Council worked tirelessly to prepare for what lay ahead, the galaxy held its breath. The Devores were coming, but this time humanity wouldn't be caught unprepared. They would fight, and perhaps, just perhaps, they would win. The UE's Nemesis, now a symbol of the courage and resolve of a species that had dared to stand against the darkness, prepared to take the first step into this new, uncharted territory. The battle to save the galaxy had only just begun.